Saturday the 28th. Let's pull 3 cards for the energies in play for you today. And the first card is the Ten of Swords. And this is the Morgan Greer deck. This card immediately brings to mind the phrase hoist on your own petard, but it's not as dire as all that. Think of these swords as overthinking. It represents too much inner judgment or just letting the mental landscape get so out of control that now we're immobilized. We've been overthinking everything. We're not in the moment. We're so far up in our heads that we need to make a correction. Meanwhile, the background in this card suggests dark night of the soul energy. So if you're someone who's gone through the awakening and you're in that very difficult period before integration starts to really coalesce, then you know what this feels like. All of our mental structures, all of our egoic structures have been shown to be false or at best misguided. And there is a very real immobilization feeling that comes with seeing that for the first time and really starting to come to terms with it. It can feel paralyzing. We can feel like we're leaking our life force energy all over the ground here. And what that is the energy that was tied up in those mental structures that we were aligning our lives with. And suddenly that has been shown to be illusory. And so now we're left with, what do I do with this energy? And often that goes into things like grief. That goes into things like brooding. I remember in the middle of my own awakening, there was a period where for like a week, I just sat on the couch and thought about things, or I talked about them out loud. I was monologuing with myself, trying to make the structures make sense again, but it doesn't work. The ultimate result is the ego will have to die. Eventually a resurrection is implied. So dark nights of the soul, of course, are temporary. They're not pleasant at all. If you've been through one, you know. But eventually there is the resurrection. In fact, Jesus' resurrection is kind of an echo of that. So it could be one of those days for you, or you could be in a phase where you're dealing with this overabundance of mental energy. Something to be aware of. But let's see what the next cards tell us to either soften this or give us some more insight into it. Okay, second card. And we get the Nine of Wands. There's boundary fatigue implied by this card. You're getting a little bit weary of having to tend your personal landscape and defend it from the world around you. I find it very interesting that in the Ten of Swords and the Nine of Wands, the objects create kind of a wall across our perception. So it could be that this mental overactivity, these narratives that you're deconstructing or having to negotiate with right now, have also been hemming you in. And there's a sense that the dark night of the soul also contains that fatigue of, my God, how long do I have to keep negotiating these artificial constraints on my energy and what I want to do with my life and how I conduct myself in the world. So it's not just a sense of internal narrative, but the external narratives coming into play here. So if the 10 is internal deconstruction, then the Nine of Wands is external vigilance. Wands are fire, will, agency, creative force, creative resolve. And 9 is a completion number, so we're approaching the last stretch before resolution, which would be the 10 of Wands. You've already defended your ground multiple times, and the nervous system is just tired of holding the line against these external influences. And the tension, frankly, is exhausting. The nervous system prefers flow. And the 9 is telling us that flow is not what's happening here. It's more like a containment that's going on. You can just kind of feel the fatigue here. But the good news is this soldier in this card is certainly not pinned to the ground and, expired like the figure in the first card. So he proceeds forward. Even though he's looking to the left, he's kind of looking to the past to inform him. And I sense that he's seeking fertile ground in which to plant his rods, his wands. Let's see what the next card can tell us about that ground. Third card, it gives us the Two of Swords. So what a lovely progression. The Two of Swords tells us to get out of the head. You'll notice she's blindfolded, and although she's protected with the sword, she's protected with her truth and her intellect and ability to discern using those tools, she's having to feel inward because the blindfold is preventing her from getting a visual perception of events. So the solution to our mental overactivity or our narrative fixations is to go within and to get very, very still so that we can discern the true message, because that's going to be coming from a place that's beyond narrative, beyond words, beyond logical, rational thought. Don't forget, the mind is not really equipped to perceive what's beyond the mind. It can't perceive that which created it from the viewpoint of the senses that it's given. The only place that we can connect to something higher or beyond the physical world is by going within in terms of meditation, or just really developing our intuition from within ourselves, which is to say from our divine connection to something higher. And you'll notice that the water we need to irrigate the ground from which those rods in the previous card are able to germinate, grow, and produce more of themselves is present in this third card. And there's also the crescent moon at the top here. Feminine energy is shining down, feminine intuition, feminine creativity. So those are the parts of ourselves that we're going to want to cultivate and really connect with when we go within, to bring forth our creativity, to bring our abundance into the moment, and to stay more in the body and outside of the head. Swords represented, which is bookending the fire in the rods card. And this cross also gives us a beautiful masculine-feminine balance, with the feminine informing the masculine, because there's no force indicated here. There's not a warlike energy happening here, but there is deep emotion, that watery unconsciousness, the blues, inner feminine, inner deep, hidden, kind of the dark parts of ourselves from which something fertile can spring. And feminine, don't forget, is also a nurturing energy. So we need to nurture ourselves through all of this. If we're going through the dark night of the soul, we can be our own maternal figure and remind ourselves that we are held, remind ourselves that we are cared for, and that there is comfort available. Okay, so to sum it up real quick, Ten of Swords, mental structures have hit saturation, overthinking or outdated narratives have collapsed. Let the system power down before trying to resurrect it. Knight of Wands, boundary fatigue. You're still standing but tired of defending your ground against external expectations. And Two of Swords gives us intentional stillness, withdrawing from the sensory and the narrative noise, going within to find the truth and our comfort. That's it for today. Like, follow, and share. See you tomorrow.